part of my life that I thank God I went through it. Now, how did it happen? I tasted two life as a child.
What do you mean by two lives?
Growing up, I grew up in a big family. My father had, I think about 6 wives, if not more. Yes. And, it's a very big family. And, from a Yoruba person, you understood that there's some seen and unseen battles in that kind of family setting.
Yes.
So there are wars that they are silent, So growing up, my father happens to be a pastor, a well-known pastor in my, will I say a village? It wasn't a village, it's a town. Though.
And he married 6 wives?
More than 6 wives.
More than 6 wives.
Those 6 were the ones that actually living with him.
Wait.
Not a Pentecostal pastor.
Thank you.
Let me clarify
I
that.
need to clarify that.
Yes. No, it was no. Even then, Pentecostal wasn't as popular as it is now.
I needed to be
no,
sure
it wasn't
of,
a Pentecostal pastor.
Okay.
One of these white garment church, CNS to be precise.
Okay.
So, and he was a very known person. And my mother, on the other hand, maybe because she came from a little affluence zone, so sometimes she doesn't. And from the story we heard, she thought she was the first wife. Until when she got there, she realized that she was the second wife. So any little thing, she just leave us and she will take off. So most times we are at the mercy of other wives.
Other wives in the house. Yeah.
Then growing up, because my mother's siblings are well educated, so I happen to know one of them who was a bank manager then. So anytime we have holiday, always was a way of escape for me to come to Lagos and mingle with his children then. But this thing happened after I finished my O level, what we call SSC now. I just told my mother, I said I want to go and stay with my uncle in Lagos. Now why? Because while when my father had a very big farm, I think from what I heard is about 1,000 hectares.
Wow.
Very big. And we had a lot of labor. So during the holiday, you expected to go to the farm and then you can pick colas, you can get somebody to harvest oranges for you. Anything you want is there for you. As long as you can do it, then you make money from it. Sometimes we do it and then our mother sells it and that's how they make their own money. So, but because I've been to Lagos, the life was not, I saw different life.
Your eye open.
And then my uncle then would take us to airports, we would see aeroplane, he would take us to beach. He was taking us with, I was going with his own children to different places. So I asked myself one day that, what am I doing in this place? So, but I didn't have the opportunity. So when I went to my uncle's, I didn't know what transpired between my uncle and my mother. One day, my mother just came. And then the next thing I heard was, pack your load, we are going.
Going to where?
I don't know. Mothers now, you don't have a choice. So I packed my load and I went with her.
Wow.
But unfortunately, she took me to my elder sister's house. So when I got there, I was very selfish. I looked at the whole thing. This didn't look like my uncle's house. My uncle's house was huge. There was house help. We're going out.
So are you saying that when you were leaving the village, did you think you were going to your uncle's house?
I knew I was going to my uncle's house. And I knew I planned to be living with my uncle and go to university in my uncle's house. So, but I didn't know what happened between my uncle and my mother. I think they had some disagreement. So my mother now took me from my uncle's house back to my sister's house. So I knew anything after that would be for me to go back to the village. But I've tasted Lagos life. I've seen big houses. I've seen life was more easier. So that day, I cried. I begged. I did everything. Nobody was listening to me. And I think I was barely 16 years old when this thing happened. So I just took it in faith. So, but when I was with my sister, I was always looking for trouble. Anything she says, because I wanted to do something that would make them to send me back.
Ouch.
But all my efforts didn't work. Then one night, I know one of our friends, and I went down because I wasn't doing anything. That was another thing. I was just sleeping and waking up. And then my uncle's house, my uncle's wife had a shop. So because the first daughter was about my age mate, so she gained admission to university. So, but my uncle told me then that he won't be able to sponsor my university education. So he said he would get me another one. So I was asked to write poly jam. But I didn't like poly.
Oh, you didn't want to go to
poly. I wanted to go to university because I wanted to study law. And they don't study law in polytechnic.
Yeah.
So I wasn't happy, but I said okay, no problem. So he now said okay, since I didn't pass the poly, I can't even remember whether I passed it or not. But luckily for me, he had a friend in one school at Akoka then. It was a college of education. So he took me there. He obtained the form. He did everything. This was before my mother came to took me away. So that form was there. And I think along the line, they said there was strike. You know, those days, strike was strike.
Yeah,
the strike of a whole 1 year. So I just said, okay, no problem. So I was like, okay, if that's the only option, let me just go to school. But when the incident happened, and I had to stay with my sister, so I knew the next line would be for me to go back to the village, which I do not want to. So I met one of my sister's friends one day, and I told her I needed a job because I wasn't doing anything. I was bored.
Your sister's house.
So she now said, are you sure? I said yes. He said, what will your sister? I said, don't tell my sister. Let her, don't tell her. She must not know this. This is just between you and I. So that day, I remember she took me somewhere, to, I think maybe her own sister too. But there was one thing I always tell people, and I emphasize on that my father did that helped me even till now, was to have a personal relationship with God. Talking to God on my own, because my father happens to be a pastor and a well-known, so we have dignitaries coming to him. I remember one of the, how will I put it now, prominent politician then, his lawyer always comes to, anytime they are going to court, he will come to my father, and they never lose that case. So, but because he's always very busy, so if you go to him that you needed something, he will just show you the altar. He said, go and talk to God.
Pray.
So, after a while, I stopped going to him. So I built that confidence that.
So your dad, let me say indirectly now, made you, instead of seeing him as a father or a provider, he indirectly made you see God.
Yes.
As a father.
And a God. So that gave me that confidence in life to make. I always say that I'll just talk to God. And any decision that I made is between me and God. So that day, I didn't, would I say I prayed? I think I prayed. And then, thank God for his mercies. He usually speaks to me through dreams. So most times when I dream, most times that thing, I see it happening. So I have that confidence that, okay, there's somebody who is actually hearing me when nobody seems to heard me. Because that day I cried. I begged my mother, I begged my uncle. I was like, what are people doing to me? So it seems as if none of them were listening to me. So I went back to my shell and I went back to God. But nobody knew. I would just sit down and the way we're talking, only me, and I'll be talking. And I felt that somebody listening to me. And then, so that day, I think I said, God, I'm tired of this place. God, you have to do something. God, if you don't do it, just kill me. That has always been my slogan. God, if you know you cannot do it, just kill me. Let me go. So now I'm with you. I'll just come and be playing, as a child. Those things come. But luckily, the lady helped me and took me to one of our sisters. And on getting there, that was the beginning of my relationship with God. I thought I had a relationship with God, but that was when I knew I need to do more. So when we got there, the sister said, that the only work she can give me then was sales girl. But I don't know what sales girl is all about. I don't understand. So I said, okay, no problem. But she lives at, what's it called? Is it Agbado? So every morning, we will leave Agbado. I don't know, maybe you can picture it. Agbado is in Ogun State. That's Akute.
Oh, that, yes.
Those Akute side. So we leave there by 5 a.m. to come to Lagos Highland every morning. And then she gave me a place.
So if you're leaving Agbado by
5 a.m. So we get to Lagos by 6:37.
What time did you wake up?
I don't know. But I know we leave by 5 a.m. So one day, I think I spent about 1 week in that house. But she gave me a room that while I'm sleeping, you always hear the sound of dog, all kinds of animal, because they rear animal in that compound. So where she gave me is close to
where the animals were staying.
So one night I woke up. I said, God, this is not what I asked you for. Either kill me here or let me go. So I make up my mind that day that immediately we'll come back from the shop. That was on a Saturday. I'll tell you, ma, please call your sister. I'm going back home. But something happened. When we get to shop that day, she now told me, she said, that she felt this distance is too much for me. Oh, then there's another person who might be interested. I said, okay, no problem. Now, all this journey, nobody knew in my house. He said, no problem. So we went to the woman's shop. Very calm, beautiful woman. And when we got there, now I've been rehearsing. The stress was much, so I wanted to opt out. So, but I heard their conversation. The woman said, is it that sales girl that will be coming to the market with her, or I will stay at home? When I heard the stay at home, I was glad. Because
okay, so you were thinking what were you thinking that stay at home meant?
I just be sleeping and be helping
Waking
them
up.
at home.
Okay,
Because
be
you know, when I was
working
when I was staying with my uncle, we had house help. So I knew what it was. They had a good bed. We eat the same food. So the stay at home was.
So your brain was telling you that the home would be
better.
like your uncle's house.
So at least no matter how the home will be, it's different from the stress of coming from Agbado to Lagos Highland every day. Sometimes you don't get back until 12 midnight. Yes. So when I heard that, I was calm. So I don't know whether I was calculating.
So
I can't remember.
How much were they to pay you for
wait
this?
Now. So the first assignment was they gave me money to count. I deliberately counted that money 3 times and I made sure it was not complete. Those days, 200 naira was about the biggest. I think that was the biggest note. So they gave me the bundle of it, which is 100 pieces. I counted it the first time. I told them it was 97. I counted the second time. I told them it was 95. I counted the third time. I told them it was 90. Maybe I was in between. I didn't tell them it was 100. So the woman said, this one does not know how to count. She will run me bankrupt. So they now said I should go.
So you did that intentionally?
Yes.
So that they could tell you
to go.
Because you wanted to go to the house.
I don't want to be coming to the markets. So the woman just said I should go. So they now had a discussion. So after a while she came back. She now said, you follow that woman home. I said, okay, no problem. And when I got to the home, beautiful home, I was happy. So in my mind, I said, you made the right choice. So I went back to God. I said, thank you. You know, that was the right choice because the house was beautiful, big. It wasn't as big as my uncle's own. It wasn't even as big as some of my aunties that I've met, but was very beautiful, nice house. I said, beautiful, I will be here. So they offered me 400 naira to work. I said, okay. 400 naira was a lot of money then. This was 1995.
My brain has to
no,
go
that
back
was
to recalculate.
Yes, it was 1995.
95, okay.
So he said 400 naira. I was
month.
happy per month. So I told her, I wouldn't mind, I don't want to mention names. So I told her, I said, okay, thank you, ma. But all you need to do for me, keep the money. So one fateful day, I think about 3 weeks while I started staying there, and I saw a newspaper because they bring newspaper every Sunday. She buys newspaper Sundays. So I saw a newspaper. So I was going through that newspaper, and I saw that the school that my uncle actually took me to, they've called off the strike. So they did an advert in that newspaper. And I remember I said, wait, I went to this place and I didn't go back again. So one morning, after she had gone to the market, because I'm always at home, and then the children are much older than me. I think the last one of them were about my age mates, and then the last one was a bit younger than me. So after she had gone to the market, and I told the younger, I said, I'm coming. So I asked somebody, how do I get to Akoka? The person gave me the description. But because she had, I think, about 5 girls, which are much older than me. So anytime they are around, they are all in university. Anytime they are around, they will send me an errand. They will give me 15 naira. They will give me 100 naira. So those money, because there was nothing to buy, everything was available. So I always kept those money. So that day, I put all the money together and I went to the place. And when I got to the school, I realized that the admission list have been pasted. So I checked. I saw my name. Hey, where do I start from? So I went back home. I couldn't tell anyone. And there was no telephone those days. The telephone we had was this analog.
Well, that nighter one that you...
Yes.
Yes.
And as at that time, my father was already late. That year, my father died.
We've been around for a while. I just realized.
So there was no way I could call my father for anything, and I didn't want to call my uncle. So I was between, where do I go from here? And God so kind, I didn't know, God just helped me through. So I went back again. The first time I went, I just saw the admission list. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to ask. So I went back again, and I remember the man, because when my uncle took me, they actually took me to a particular man's office. So I tried to remember the man's name. So I went back again to the school, and luckily I was able to remember the man. I didn't remember his name, but I gave a description of him, and somebody said, okay, go to this office. If not, you won't come back. By the time you get to 3 offices, I said, yes, I can recognize him. So luckily from the first office I entered, I met the man. I introduced myself. This and that. So he said, okay, did you check? I said, my name is out. He said, okay. So by the time I went to the admin office, they gave me the admission letter, and I saw the amount that I'm supposed to pay. I think it was about 1,600 naira. No, 1,400 naira. So I calculated my salary from July, August, September, October, November. Because as at that time was November. That was 5 months. So I said 2,000 naira. Okay, was okay for me to go. So I approached my, how will I put her now? Which is more like a mother to me then, my oga, so to speak. I said, Mommy, please, I'm sorry, I gained admission. So like, gain admission? How did it happen? This, that, and I couldn't tell her that while you were going to the market, I was sneaking out. So I just said, she said, okay, no problem. What do you want? I said I want to collect my money by the end of that November, because I was supposed to go for the admission.
Okay, you told I just remember you told her not to pay you on a monthly basis. She should
keep the money. I don't need
so
the money.
I
didn't even know whether I'm going to collect it.
Oh, no.
Because what do I do with the money?
You didn't want to take it.
The money. I didn't want to. Yes, because I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have anything, and I didn't have any reason to buy anything. So I said she just keep the money for me, because I didn't even know what to do with the money. I didn't know how long I'm going to stay. But the fact that there is a roof over my head, the house is beautiful, they are speaking good English, they are very beautiful people. I said, what am I looking for? Why would I want to go back to the village? So I just felt comfortable, and I guess God was on this journey with me. And at the end of the day, I think I was able to do the admission, and by January the following year, I went to school. And when I got to school, it was another total buggy. No food. So, but luckily for me, while I was going, they gave me some food stuff. I didn't know how God. Somebody asked me a few years back, how did I survive in that house? I said, I don't know. And that was the honest truth. Because from 1995, let me put this record straight, that I got to that house, I didn't leave that family until I married in 2012.
Wow.
So I practically lived in that house from 1995 till 2012 when I got married. But when I got to school, there were lots of challenges. That's the honest truth. I said things, and I remember one incident that I can never forget. I was sent to buy a food from a particular eatery, and because the eatery is close to our house, so I gave the girl money that I'm going to another supermarket to get something, and I'm getting, but the lady denied that I didn't give her money.
Hey.
And I didn't have money. How do I pay? But they stood by me that they've never seen such with me, so I didn't know.
Hold on. Wait, if I understand what you're saying, are you saying that the people you were working for, as in your madam, sent you to go and buy
food? One of the children sent me to go and buy food.
But the person you gave the money to denied.
So the attendant at the eatery, I gave her the money. Okay,
she denied it.
Take. I want to go and get some, because I was supposed to do
on my way back.
On my way back, I will pick, because it's food that you order, they prepare.
You know what you're just saying. For me, it's strange that your I don't want to say your boss, your madam, or her children would actually stand.
They stood their ground.
Stand by you.
They said no,
to say that
it's not possible.
I personally feel that your own story is one of a kind. Your own story is unique, because that's not the usual
way people do things.
Yeah, that's not the usual.
What I would say to that is, because I know my reason why I was there, I had to comport myself. Now, one of the things that I do is, they say when you are in Rome, you behave like a Roman. Now, growing up in my father's house, because it's a big house, you can go out, you can do everything. And I noticed that in this house, people don't go out.
They don't.
They're always inside. If they are not watching movie, they are reading books. You see them lying down on their bed, reading novels. So I was watching them. I was looking at their lifestyle. They don't make noise. They don't quarrel. In my house, Fuji house of commotion. When the fight happen, you will know that something was.
But house of commotion.
But this particular house, everything is sush. Let me use that word. No quarrel. So why would I? So I had to conform to that lifestyle. You understand? And then I don't know. I think this is just God on my side that was able to manage each person. Because there are 5 girls. So I tried to learn, okay, what does this one like? I know one particular one, when she's in the kitchen, everybody, we are all in trouble. She's, go and bring this one, go and bring that one. But I'm always the only one behind her. What do you want? Because I don't want to go back. So I had to.
Okay, so if I understand what you are saying, it's more like the fact that you didn't want to go back to the village,
yes,
to the lifestyle that you were used to,
yes,
was one of the reasons that
is
made
the major
you
reason
behave yourself,
yes,
in the house where you found,
yes,
yourself,
yes,
as a child,
yes,
domestic
so I had to do everything to please everybody.
Even whether it was convenient.
There are times that it's not
you.
even convenient. Like, look at that incident now. The errand would have been maybe from one person, but because it was from 2 different people. So when you call me and you want to send me another, I won't tell you that somebody else had sent me. I'll take the errands together. So it's on my way that I'll not say, okay, which one do I do first? Which one will I do? You understand? And then when I was in school, my first semester wasn't that easy. We had to read. And then there was a time I didn't have money. So I had to go to
How were you, if you got into school, were you going from home to
no,
school?
That time accommodation was much easier. It was just was it 19 naira then, I guess. It was 19 naira then. So with the influence of the man, I was able to get accommodation. Yes, because I think it was one of their dean then. So I was able to get accommodation. That was much easier for me. So the first what do you call that semester, I didn't go back. So I felt I'd left. That was it. I felt since I had left, I've collected my money, they won't accept me back again. So I didn't bother going back. But luckily for me, the day I was going to school, I was moving to school, one of my madam's daughter too was going to Unilag. So we left at the same time. So we dropped her first because it was their driver that drove us that day. So we dropped her first. So I knew her room and everything. I wrote it down. So I went to my school. So throughout that semester, I didn't bother going back. I just felt, I don't know. I didn't even know where life would continue at that moment because I felt they won't take me back. Because while I went there, I've terminated the appointment. So I felt there was no point going back. Until I don't know how God just did it. They came looking for me. That why didn't I come back? I said I felt I've terminated my appointment. I said no, that you come back.
Madam came back.
One of the children.
They came
to look for me. Yes, in the school. So they now asked me
your story is not normal.
So they now asked me to.
It's not normal because
to come back.
You know why I say it's not normal? Generally there's this thing with
herbs.
House
No, I don't think it's everybody.
It's not everybody. Yes, I agree. It's not everybody. I've also had my own share. It's not everybody, yes. But the truth is that most of them do things that I don't know if it's intentional, or I don't know if it's I'm saying maybe because of their age too. Because sometimes when you see the way they behave,
yes,
and then you compare them with the way your own children even behave, you will understand that no, this house help is actually not acting out of place, because my own child might likely even do
the same thing.
But maybe sometimes maybe as a parent or as a guardian or as a madam or whichever the
Yeah.
case may be, your brain is just telling you that this house help should know what to do, this house help should do this house help should do
I
that.
think the
And
same
maybe
thing happened to me
that
too.
kind of pressure, you put it on that house help and it looks like the house help gets confused and they begin to misbehave. Because in all fairness, like I've seen, not your type is rare. I will tell you that your type is rare. If you were able to get into a home and they came back looking for you,
But I
your
was
type
surprised.
is rare.
I was surprised.
Because for them to do, and you know, when you were going, they didn't just pay you your salary.
They didn't just
They
pay
don't
me,
pay your
because
salary.
they gave me food stuff.
They gave you food stuff.
They
They
gave me-
supported you.
They even drove me to the
They
school.
took you to the school. They dropped you, as in the way they would, they the same way they carried their
Own daughter.
daughter. That was the same thing they did. So I'm beginning to feel that, just like they say, as you lay your bed,
Yeah, so you lie on it.
you lie on it. I know that for a lot of house helps, it's not something they want to do.
Yeah.
Situations around them, they just found themselves doing,
Yes,
that kind of
thing.
job.
I think what people don't understand is sometimes, even as an adult, if you don't want to do something and then you are forced into it, many a times you can't do it well. You can't, even as an adult, you can't. And that's just sometimes most of this house help. And you know, that helped me even while I finished the school. After I left college, I stayed for about 2 years because I still wanted to study law, and I now realized that time is of essence. I still went to university. They supported me.
The same family.
Yes, they paid my school fees all through.
And you were not related to them.
They are from
In any
Rivers
way.
State. I'm from Ogun State.
Ah.
So we're far. I'm sure you have seen some of them. We are far apart. We're far apart. So I think basically, even as, I don't know how to put this, but one thing I always want people to know, that anywhere you are, do your best, irrespective of why you are there.
Wow.
Because that situation that you found yourself, maybe you didn't plan for it, but put in your best so that God can see that in you and raise helpers for you. That's one thing that we don't know. That shebi they say I should sweep, I will sweep, John.
Just sweep it anyhow.
Sweep it as if it's your own. That's exactly what I always do. I do those things as if, I can't remember what my chores were, but I know my chores were just to sweep. Was a duplex, was only to sweep and mop. And I do see the tiles. When you see the tiles, you can see yourself. I didn't learn that where I was coming from. My father's house, there were no tiles. I can't remember what it was. In my uncle's house, there was a carpet. So I didn't learn how to, we had house help that does that. But when I got to this place, I realized that, if I actually want to live here, then I must go extra mile. And that was exactly what I did. Sometimes I'll go to, I said,
But
we
don't find such around these days.
I think it's these days,
don't
because I
find
remembered
such.
even when one of them got married and she needed somebody to assist, and I volunteered to do so.
What do you mean by assist?
No, she had the baby.
Oh, okay.
So just to and help her. So I moved in with her. I left the main
one
house.
Of the children.
Yes. So I left the main house to now move.
I'm almost going to say you are not normal. Because
So
your story is really different.
To
It's
move
not,
with her.
Sincerely, I think your story is not the usual story that people are used to hearing.
Yes.
About
House help, no.
Or about how
I'm sure there's somebody out
family
there too who actually have this good time.
Experience
as well.
So your own experience was not a bad experience.
Yes, because I didn't make it bad. Now let me shock you. There's another person in that same house with me who was more like a house girl too, but she goes to shop. And it got to a stage they realized that she was stealing. She didn't only steal, she bought a land, she bought TV, she bought everything. I remember
a house of bought
Yes,
land.
ma'am.
Oh my God.
So I remember that incident vividly, that she went.
That means
So it wasn't, now that I didn't have a bad experience because I didn't show bad things to them. See, when people maltreat you, always ask, what have you done to them?
Make them maltreat you.
You do get it? Because, I told that somebody asked me, I think that was 2006, that how did I survive in that house? I couldn't answer that question because I believe that person too was familiar with that house.
I'm trying to rewind. Are you... My head.
Now, because this person...
a house help.
Yes.
Stole to the extent that she was able to buy a land.
I don't know if
house.
There's this thing they call trunk box. They use it for wedding in rivers.
Oh yeah, I know it. Is it
one
that,
silver.
Is it the Ecolac kind of?
No, not box.
That
So
one.
is this like they built? It's a silver like. People from royal family in Rivers State, that's what they use for their marriage. She bought it. She got a land. She bought TV. Then those were the things that they were able to retrieve from her. So how do you expect them to treat such a person? And this person left me in that house. I met her in that house. After that incident, she still left, and I was still living in that house. So it wasn't about maybe they just decide to treat me well. No, it's how do you treat them? Because I see them. And I start seeing them like, oh, how do I treat these people? Oh, let me treat them like my mother, my father, my elder sister.
Because they treated you. So where's the problem from now? Is it how the house help is behaving, or is it
most times
wait,
yes, what now? Because
let me ask you a question.
Okay, man.
I hope I am not. What spurred you to be good as a house help? Was it that something just made you say, I'm going to be good here? Or when you got there, you said, I'm going to wait and see. If these people are good to me, then me too, I will be good.
Now, I think the first experience I had was when I got there that night. I met one of the daughter in the kitchen. And the way she served me food, I saw that was the same thing she was eating that she gave to me.
Thank you.
The same plate. Where she took her plate was where she took the plate to serve me. And she sat down right in front of me while I was afraid.
Hey.
But she sat down and she was like, what's your name? And she just said one or two things. And she left. She washed her dishes. She didn't leave the dish for me to wash. She went to the sink, washed her dish, and she said, I'm going to my room. And she disappeared.
For some, I know that there are some homes where what they eat is not what the house help eats.
No, that thing is wrong.
The plates the house help uses
is different from their own. It's wrong.
They will even give them.
I think the only person who for me to be treated that way could be the mother and the father of the house.
I agree because
because
my house,
because the father is the head. Even in my house, there's a way.
There are these sets of plates that when you see common sense
will tell you that.
No, this plate is not normal.
Yes,
it's not for
so, but for me, I think if you treat the way you treat your children, if you can treat your house help in a similar way, it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel warm towards you. It makes them see you like a mother. They won't see you like their madam. They will see you, except the one that is possessed. Except there are some of them that are possessed. There's nothing you're going to do. But there's some of them that, from my own case, it was more or less like, personally, I wanted it. But there's some that their parents will tell them. I remember we had one. I love this girl. She's from Cotonou. She's so hardworking. But the only thing that pained me was the father was collecting a salary, not knowing that the father was using her salary to marry another wife. So it was when she was ready to go. When she was ready to go, we now realized what happened, and she kept on crying. So I told my madam's daughter then that I was not living with, because I called her auntie, and I said, auntie, you know what we're going to do for her? Let's not send her away like that. So we called the guest. We now told her, I said, can you do one more year? She said yes. So we put her in a tailoring shop. She learned tailoring.
Rewind. You, house help,
yes,
called your madam's daughter.
Then, because now I'm not living with her.
Okay, because you are now you at that point you had become like a, oh wait, is it the one that
that had a child? Yes.
Oh, okay.
So while I was living with her, she now had another house because I had to go back to school.
Okay.
So I was in university then. So I come home maybe sometimes weekends, sometimes once in a month.
So you were not telling her.
So I told her that because when I heard the girls, because the girl was very hardworking.
Wait. You were telling her, let's not send this girl
away because the father had squandered the money.
That takes me to this scripture where the house help told the boss. He said, Oga, madam, I know that Oga has leprosy. That's Naaman.
Yes.
But I know somebody
that can
somewhere
that can heal him.
So I believe that Naaman's house help was able to speak and should I say profess solutions?
Yes, because she had a relationship.
She must have been treated
well. For her to go that
if
mad.
Not, she will just keep her mouth shut and say that wicked
one thing people don't understand is when people are living with you, you must treat them well. I always tell people that because you don't even know where that person is going to. You don't know where you're going to meet. You don't even know who that person knows. Because at that time, nobody knows who I know. And I know, at least I knew that my father knows some people that even my uncle was not here that was in such situation.
I'm coming back to your parents because in all of this now, I have not heard you say, when I told my mom, this is what I'm going to do,
yes,
or when I told my dad,
that's
this is what
part
I'm going
of
to
my
do.
life that I told people that was very challenging for me. Maybe because God saw that I had a mother, but I didn't have a mother. How do I put it? I had a mother who gave birth to me, but I didn't have a mother who actually loved me and cared for me.
She wasn't there.
She wasn't there. You know,
is it that she never, after you left the village, she never bothered to find out?
Maybe she did. I wouldn't know.
No, now if she bothered to find out,
maybe they would have something would have happened.
So are you saying that over this number of years,
for like 3 years, I think I now went back. She now said, "Oh, yeah, man."
So yes. she didn't ask after you.
I don't know.
She didn't look out for you.
No, I didn't even get to know.
And there was no mobile phone
to say, okay,
days.
this is where I am. I think the first place I went back was to first of all locate my elder brother because we were very close. And she was like, where have you been? And I told her, I said,
So this is what I'm thinking. The child domestic worker stuff.
Yes.
Did it separate you from your siblings?
Yes, it did. Yes. For a very long time, for several years. Oh,
so why didn't somebody just ask? It separated you from your siblings? It separated you from your parents?
Yes.
I don't know, but I'm beginning to wonder if for you didn't see your siblings, you didn't see your parents for 6-7 years.
You know one of the things that
it must have created.
Yes, one of the things that people don't know then was, and it got to a stage I was living double life. Yes, I was living double because the life I was living in school was different from the life I was living at home. When I get home, I'm the good girl. Do what they ask you to do it 100%. But when I'm in school, I was everywhere. I joined, the only club that I did not join was cults and care guys. Now because I knew their oga. That was how bad it was. So I told them, I said, since I know you people will protect me, so there was no point joining. But the other social clubs, I was there. And I had a lot of challenges too while I was in school.
Any particular reason why you joined?
Because there was no one to talk to. There was no one to confide in. So I find solace in going for this program, going for that program.
Just to be happy.
That's the word. Not only just to be happy, just to be a normal, so everybody will see like a normal child. But people didn't understand that I was going through a lot. I never shared it with anyone. Because there was nobody to talk to. There was nobody, even when boys come, I want to date you, I'm always aggressive. People always see me like very aggressive person. They always say that I'm very bold. I use that as to cover up my pains. So people didn't understand. You understand? So I remember there was an incident that I couldn't afford to buy handouts. And in my school then, when I was in college, there's this thing they call 1624. I don't know whether it still exists in university now. 1624 means you must have at least 16 mark in your coursework and to minimum of 24 in your exam. If you like, have 50 over 60 in that exam, have 15 in coursework, you have failed. So that was what happened to me. I had A, I had B in other courses. But this particular course, but because I couldn't afford to buy the handout, I had F. And it attracted attention because then our results will be pasted openly. And people saw, and my name was about, I think, the first or the second on the list.
Yeah,
and you are seeing A, B, and then you got to a place, you saw F. And everybody like, what happened? Well, and they knew it wasn't a difficult, because the other courses that are like three units, 4 units. I had A, I had B. So why would you have F in a borrowed course? And I was called to a panel and I explained that maybe because I couldn't afford the handouts. And truly I could not. Because sometimes I borrow handouts to read. Because if you see me on campus during the day, I'm always everywhere. But at night, when it's 12 midnight, I'll put my feet inside water. I will cram a whole handout in daybreak.
And you didn't have a choice. You had to cram because by morning the handout will be gone.
So even for exam, so I will have crammed, I will have jotted. So that's why when I enter the exam hall, I make sure that I'm the last person to enter the exam hall. I won't talk to anyone.
So that the thing will not disappear.
It must not disappear.
It
must not disappear. I just point down, and as soon as I'm done like this, I'll just raise my head up, look left, look right, and off I go, because I want to go and borrow another handout to read for the next course. And that was how I was able to skate through College of Education. I got a job and I felt, I should do more. And I went to university, and it was the same process too. I will only ask for school fees. The rest is either I'm borrowing.
Okay, so the family you lived with, they were committed to paying your school fees.
Yes. Now, it wasn't one person, because there were many. So I will go to this one and do small chores with you. Maybe I'll wash your clothes. You give me something. I'll run errands for that one. So most times I kept those money. I gather them together.
All the small tips.
Yes. Then maybe when I'm going, I remember there are times that I will even go and steal food to take to school.
Chai.
I will go and steal rice so that I can have food when I get to school. But in all this, I didn't even know. Somebody asked, I said, when I even eventually met my siblings, the bond was no longer there. I'd been separated from them. So, and then for several years that continued like that. So I was not seeing those people more like a family. If you call me,
so because of the way they treated you, that's the family you worked for.
Yes.
They were now your siblings.
Yes. Now to an extent that, except people while growing up, before I got married, even till now, people don't believe I'm not related to them. Now, because they now made it at the time, they now had to con the relationship, and they were not telling people that I'm from their mother's side.
Hi.
That my mother is from Delta. But in all this, I think one thing that I realize is, one, God is the first factor in it. Yes. Because I always tell people that wherever you are, let God be your first ally. Always speak to God. I don't know how to pray. I'm saying this, I'm sure some people will be like, what do you mean by that? But I communicate. And it's the same thing I'm trying to teach my children. Just talk to God. I don't know. I might not kneel down. I don't know how to do long prayer. But I take my problem to God the way it is. There are times I'm talking to God as if I'm talking to a friend. I remember an incident happened in February. Even before then, it was late last year, and my mother was sick. And I tell people, I said since I was 15 years old, I didn't hold my mother. What's the cheapest or the simplest thing in this world? I didn't get it from her till she died. But the funnest part of it, at her dying point, I was the last person there. So that day I was asking God, why do you put me in this situation? This one never, as far as I'm concerned, she wasn't there for me all my life. Even when I needed her, she wasn't there. But it looks as if when
what do you think her absence in
It was
your
a
life?
lot. It was a
What
lot.
did it? How did it affect you?
It affected me a lot, even to my adulthood. You know, that communication, that bond, that love was never there. I heard you preaching something several years ago about even if you don't have something, but there is a way. You know, people always say you can't give what you don't have. And I remember you said that thing, that love is not something you cannot give, even if you don't have it, even if nobody has given you. But you should find a way in your heart to give back. I think that was one. You know, I think one of the things that helped me was maybe things that I hear people say, and I go and I reason, and I said, it's true. Even if people didn't show me love, does that mean I will not show other people love? You understand? Okay, let me even show them love, and let me see. And you know, my father used to tell us when we were young, two things my father used to say that it's well known for, that when you're on the ground, you don't look at people on the ground. Look at the people at the top. Let them be their target. So that whether you are going to run or you are going to crawl, just make sure that they are your target. That was one of the things that pushed
That's
me.
That's deep.
Then secondly, you always tell you that, let me say it in Yoruba, then I'll do it, that taba shore feni dudu in your pupaluma. Only in your pupaluma. So that what means that maybe you're a black person now, I render help to you. God might use a white person to pay. So don't always look at the person you have helped. Look at God. You know, those things were the things that helped me while I was outside. Because I think one of the issues my mom had with my uncle was the wife had a shop. So the annoyance was, why will I be the one going to the shop? Yes, I think I remember that was one of their arguments. I didn't say anything wrong. I was at home. I have not gained admission. The daughter passed now. And they said the same way he did for the daughter, should have done for me.
Okay, so this for me now is more of an entitlement mentality.
Yes.
Your uncles only wanted to help.
Yeah. So when the help wasn't forthcoming as they think it should, they felt it was not doing enough. And I didn't sit that way because I was in the house. I knew the girl passed. That was how she was able to go to university. I didn't even pass English. That was the funniest part of it. You know, I think God helped me that sometimes when things happen, I reason it out. I always put myself in that person's shoes. That, okay, if I'm the one, how do I feel? You understand? So for me, I felt my mother was selfish. So I deliberately cut ties with her for several years. We don't see eye to eye.
But is it something you wish you should have done better? You could have done better.
I think she should have done better, not me. My mother should have done better. Because as a mother, you have to protect your child. You have to always be there for your child. You have to love your child.
Another thing I've realized is that most of our parents, they didn't grow up in love. They didn't grow.
Yes, because
so it's difficult. See, wait. It's difficult for some parents to communicate love.
My mother would not be able to. You know why?
Because
she had her own issue was why she was even angry with my uncle. Basically, was from the story we heard, was when their mother left their father to remarry maybe somebody she felt she was not in love with. She left them. I think there are about 4 of them. So my grandfather stopped my mother from going to school to take care of her siblings. So she was now holding my uncle responsible
for what
I did for you. You must do it for my daughter. But my uncle didn't see it from that light.
Hey, wait. Are you saying that your mom did not go to school?
No.
Because they wanted the men?
Yes.
Oh, this one is another topic for another day. That I'm serious, because a lot of our parents, especially mothers
of sisters,
a lot of mothers were, in fact, my own mother too, she had that kind of experience as well, because you know those days they believed that the male children
were more intelligent.
No, is it more intelligent? They are more useful.
They bear the father's name. They will you will sell your name. You will throw the name away, and you are bearing somebody else's name.
But thank God that today, by the special grace of God, God has helped us as women that nobody can look down on us.
No, that's one thing I tell people, that
so irrespective it's not a function of
where
but you know
some
tribes, my brothers, they still do it, that if you don't have a male child,
yes.
you never start. You're, in fact, your leg never.
Now, let me shock you that I happen to be the first graduate even in my father's house.
With the 6 wives, I've been at 7 wives. Yes. That's why I said your own story is unique. Your own story is different. And I'm particularly excited because most of the stories I hear about house helps or child domestic workers, it's the other way around. Most of them, their experiences are, some of them are sexually abused. Yes. I have seen one, I know one that was sexually abused by the man. That's by the husband of the madam. Yeah.
Now, ma.
And the madam did not know.
Now, ma.
Girl. She was trying to, she just like you wanted to go to school. The girl wanted to have something. She wanted to go to school. So she was trying to endure the pain, endure the shame, but you got to a point.
You don't endure. Let me say, maybe because I was very lucky, the man he was an older elderly man then, so maybe, and he was a Christian, that might not come to, and even the children, well, okay, I think the 2 boys are older than
you got into them. A very good home.
But, I always tell people that when such a thing happened, the first attempt should give you, what do I call it now? You should leave. Now, because there are certain things you can't endure. Because when you start it, you can't stop it. And you can't finish it. You can't finish it. I had an experience like that somebody, okay, we had an house girl then, and he went to, was it an house girl or somebody that they brought in to live, and then he went to tell somebody outside that the man wanted to, the man will ask her to bring food when everybody had gone to, immediately, the day I heard it, I just called I said, tell her to pack her load and go. Whether it is true or it's a lie,
she should just go.
We had that end. Personally, as you said, maybe my own case was different. I get there was just God factor in my own, because I grew in that house to an extent that I became, till today, I'm still a member of that family. There's nothing that they want to do in that family that I'm not part of.
A song is coming to my heart. I want to sing this song. I love this family. I love this family of God. So closely knitted into one. They've taken me into their arms, and I'm so glad to be a part of this great family. If I remember, I think as NCCF.
Yes.
Yeah, NCCF family song.
I think that's just, boy, to be honest, it's not as if I didn't have issues, but I tried to manage my issues with them.
Okay, I want to ask a question. I know that there's somewhere I'm trying to get to, and I hope I'm able to get there, because that's where I want to focus on now. You must have felt some pains at some point.
Not a lot of time.
Can you share the kind of pains you've, because now there was separation from siblings, yes. There was separation from your families, and that caused you to do certain things that you didn't want to do, but you had to do those things just to cover that pain, just to maybe not necessarily
let me give you an instance of something that happened to me. When I was much younger, as a child, I think below 10, I sick a lot. I remember there was a time that at the general hospital then, they advised my father that he should take me back home, that there is nothing they can do. They couldn't diagnose what was wrong with me. And they took me to the village, they did their concussion. My father had these people that we called Agatu laborers then. I think about 6 of them had to hold me down for that rituals to be performed and all that. And I think after then, I just realized that I wasn't falling ill anymore. I know one of the things that I realized, I was one of my father's favorites, that when everybody goes to him and didn't get something, he will call me behind and come and give me and tell me not to tell anybody. So when I heard I died, I felt my life, there was nobody else again. I knew at that point that I'm all alone. So I summoned courage.
When you heard what?
My father died.
Ah.
So I summoned courage to look like I'm all alone. So I don't share, I don't tell anybody anything anymore. And I remember an incident that happened to me that I felt ill for the first time in a long time. And I've tried to manage it. And you know, this sickness that you start vomiting. And I was vomiting and I was drooling, and everybody were looking at me. And then I heard them whispering that maybe I was pregnant.
Hey.
You know that pain. It was one incident that shook me. Like, okay, even if I was pregnant, something should be done.
Why are you just staring at me? You want me to?
And then and I looked at, and these are people that when they are sick, I'll be
Yeah,
sick.
dear.
Why will you just abandon me like this? And reluctantly that day, I think somebody went to get anti-malaria drug, and immediately I took the anti-malaria. I got ill back, and the shots were not easy. Now, the first, you know, there are 2 house help now that I've done. The first one wasn't an issue for me, but the second one was not easy. It wasn't. But people don't know. They just felt I do it with joy. I wasn't doing it with joy. That was the honest truth. But I was doing it for survival.
Hey.
Yes. I was doing it for survival because I don't want to go back. And then
Where
where do I
coming
move
from?
here? I don't want to sleep under the bridge. I don't want to go into prostitution. So the best for me was just to endure. And enjoyed it. But a lot of people didn't know. So even in my adulthood, there are times that I would sit down. I told somebody, I said, do you know that I was depressed alone? And I myself came out of that depression without talking to anyone. I had to research, because there was a time I realized that I wasn't functioning. But people see me, they see me every day.
You knew that,
but I knew
something was wrong.
So I said, you didn't understood. In fact, last 6 months, late last year, early this year, was a very tough and challenging moment for me that I didn't even believe I would survive it. But people see me every day, I'm laughing, I'm joking, but they didn't understood. But because I have learned to bear my pain, so I just.
But sometimes just bottling up it could be dangerous.
It's not that it could be it's very dangerous. But the question is, who do you talk to?
No, I think in your own case, because
I
of your
grew
background,
up, yes, not
you have grown to keep things to yourself, and then you have grown to try to manage whatever situation comes out. Because the truth is that it's not everybody that bottles up like that that can handle it. Some people go into depression. Some people you just discover that they overreact. Any small thing, you know, it's like you trigger something.
The truth of the matter is, I'm always at that point too. But because people always see me like, when they have problem, I'm quick to provide solution. So they don't realize that I have problems too. Because at that point, anybody that has problem, I'm always the first person to, this is the way out. Now, because I now learned and grew to, when there is a problem, don't sit on it. Start looking for solution. But when the solution is not there, look for something to keep you busy. So I'm always looking for something to keep
keep you busy. Is like that's an easy way out. But the problem is not
it's not as if the problem has solved.
It's still
but
there.
It was just like way of not attracting people to now say, what do we know? Because the person who is asking me what do we do is relying on me to solve his or her problem. So what do I do? So I told her, I became an adult even as a teenager. I was already an adult even as a teenager.
Wow.
Because at the age of, I think that was 19, thereabouts, I was already helping somebody to nurse a baby. I think about 1920. I could bathe a baby then. I could feed a baby.
You could do amugo.
Yeah, I could do amugo comfortably. So I was already an adult. I know these are people that are not relying on you that, okay, do it. You understand? And they just thought you can do it. And you don't want to fold their hand. So
so let me also ask you another question. How did, what's the word now? How did your husband, how did he accept you, as in, because I know that some men, by the time they get to know, they just know you generally. After a while, by the time they begin to know some, I know the man, remove the man of God's side. Yes. Well, by the time they begin to know some deep things about you, some of them just withdraw to their shelf and they feel like, this is not what I want.
You know, I told somebody, I said, sometimes some people think I talk a lot. I said, why? Is because I don't know how to, I don't want to lie. So that maybe in another 15 years, 20 years, I can repeat the same thing exactly the way it is, so I don't lie. So when we met in a church gathering. In fact, the people that even, they were senior pastors then. I didn't even, he just decide on his own that it's this girl that he wants to marry. And when one of my senior pastors called me, I was like, what's going on here? I don't believe in all these things, so my parents are not born again, no. It's me that is born again, no. And my born again first is salvation, no. Because if the thing did not work the way, I'll go back, oh. I know because all my life I've been going to, I don't believe in one particular church. Anywhere I get to, I enter the church, my spirit is settled, I stay there. So there are very few churches that I've not been to, especially the big ones in Nigeria today. There are very few of it that you mentioned, and I'll tell you that I've not been to this church. So when the person told me that Brother Susu said he wants to marry, I first wanted to I said, are you sure this person knows what? I said, if he's bold enough, let him come and tell me himself. And we met. And I said, are you sure you know what you are talking about? Because I'm not the regular born again girl. Now, the regular born again girl is you tie scarf, your makeup. I'm
not saying this one, no. There's regular born again.
No, then.
Okay, then.
Then we have SU.
Okay.
Then we have SU. That when you see them, their comportment will tell you that.
You just know.
No. You don't have to
like
say
us with our hind neck collar.
But I still go to church. I still go to church sometimes with like 4 different colors of attachments, with my hair tinted. My shoe is because the people I live with, that's how they dress. When you see them, you will turn and look again. You can't see them and walk away. You must look again. So I had to.
You grew up that way.
That way. So I was like,
so you could fit in and blend into the family.
So I said, this one, I don't understand though. And as at that time I was already over 30, and honestly I was actually praying to God. I actually prayed to God about it. So when he came, I said, God, is this the person you are sending? God, you know me, oh. This one I'm not sure, but and I told him, I said, the people I'm living with, they are not my family, they are not my parents. Now I didn't know how he accepted it. He's not somebody who talks. He's not somebody that will gist with you. He's an extreme quiet person. But I realized that his family didn't accept me, even till today. But for me, it wasn't an issue for me. Now, number one, that was my past. Number two, you can't tell me that there are other people that are better off than me. I'm educated. I'm my master's degree holder. At least as of today, I am a proprietress, no matter how small you want to look at it. I was once a CEO. I'd worked in an international organization before. Today I'm working with an international organization. So I basically,
so
for me.
Are you saying that it was because of your? Are you saying it's because of your background?
Because one of the things that when people don't tell you this is where we are coming from, but they are just hostile towards you. And somebody like me, I don't look at that. You are hostile to me, that's it. I look for another friend and I move on. Because most times I have this. I was in the bus one day and somebody was talking. There's some things that I heard that maybe shaped my life, and they were talking, and it was like there was this argument, and they were like, please, madam, it's only this bus. So when as soon as you come down from this bus, we might not see again in life. And I looked at it that there's some journey in life like that. There's like entering a bus with someone, at every bus stop somebody drops, you
Yes.
might never come across that person again in your life. So sometimes I see some relationship like that. Or maybe I know there's some people that when you sit down in the bus, one way or the other, you just communicate. Maybe they say good afternoon, or they say, oh, could you please adjust?
Yeah.
You know, they're just this communication line between you. But immediately they drop off, you move on. So sometimes I see, so
life.
when that comes, that hostility come, I just felt there's no point. Now, God so kind, I had other friends. Now, how do I mean? These are friends that maybe in church, in neighbor. I've known you for 15 years, if not more than. And I always say, I say, when I'm writing the story of my life, there's some people that I cannot remove. Pastor Kayode is one person I cannot remove. I remember during my wedding, even while he was on the hospital bed, yes, he was making sure that everything was right. So I said, that's a family to me. If they ask me now tomorrow, who is your family? Those are people that will go and knock at their door. Fine, you know, as a teacher, there's a way you define family. You have nuclear family, you have extended family. So yeah, I see those people as my family. People that, okay, maybe when I'm in need, I call them, they answered me. Sometimes it's not about money. The fact that, oh, you called me today because you have known me. You could have called any other person. But maybe, when you were thinking, oh, who do I call? You remember that, I heard somebody and you called me, I answered. That's a family. So if a particular family that I felt, we should be warm together, you try to distance yourself, I let you go. Because there are other ones that are even more beneficiary. I was telling somebody, I'm on a program now with ITC, International Training Center. That they are under IL, International Labour Organization, and Microsoft. They are the ones sponsoring that program. And the woman who actually pushed me to become assistant coach on that program, I've never seen her. We just chatted online. I was under her, I worked under her, and then she was interested in my work. So when they asked them to get assistant, she just sent a mail to me. She asked me to apply. I applied. Today, I'm on that program. That's a family. When she's sending me message now, she's saying sister. What is a sister? That's my family. So if you think because where I've been is a challenge to you, you don't want to relate with me, move on. Because that's one thing I always say, that don't let people give you low self-esteem.
Yes. Because
a lot of people first are like, how will I say it? I say it boldly because I came out even far better than how I would have thought. Even if I had been in my father's house, I don't think I would have been better, or I wouldn't have even been in this. Because the people are known today, to the glory of God. Maybe.
So I would say that for me, yours is, should I say, a divine journey?
Yes.
Was orchestrated by God.
I think so.
Because, I believe that every one of us, as long as you walk in God's will and God's path, your life is orchestrated by God. However, maybe our attitudes sometimes just I
think one thing that we need to work on is how we treat people. If people even treat you badly, you don't have to.
So two-way things now from this child domestic worker that is in my head now.
Yes.
The way I'm personally of the opinion that there is a certain age that for no reason, I won't even take as a child domestic. In fact, that word child domestic worker, I'm not comfortable with it because
you can't compare what happened then
with
what
so
is
now,
happening
because
now.
Sincerely, those children are actually meant to be in school, but they have found themselves in situations where they
need to do the work.
They don't have. It's like there's no other option, especially for those of them that are from very poor backgrounds. Yes. Or some of them that they lost their parents. Yes. Very early. Some are orphans. There's just nobody, nowhere to go to. So just like you said, I don't want to go back there. Yes. So I have to put my head down. So two things now. One, treat people well. Whether you are the one that you are the madam, or you are the one that somehow you found yourself in this situation. Treat people well. Yes. Because you never can tell where you meet them tomorrow. You never know
what they are going to even do in your life.
Yeah, one thing I always tell people, my people say echidime. Echidime means tomorrow is pregnant. Nobody knows what it will give birth to. So treat people well. If you find yourself as a child domestic worker for some reasons, just make sure you put your head down there.
Yes.
And put in your best.
Then another
I've also
thing is,
seen a child domestic worker that when she was getting married, people thought she was the daughter of this.
When I was getting married, if I had not told you, you wouldn't know those people were not my family.
Yes. Yeah, I can say that. I can say that confidently. So please, let's treat people well.
Then I think another thing is, when you get to anywhere, don't measure up with them. That's the challenge we always have. We always want to measure up with people.
Measure up how?
I know there are some people that when they get to a particular house,
nah,
you don't, or you want to be the child. No, you must earn it. You don't force it.
Yeah.
You
so
must
that
earn
means
that.
your attitude. Just like they say, you don't demand respect.
No, you earn it. So you must earn that love.
So
that you get
if
to
you
that
put
level.
your head down,
yes,
we don't pray that any child becomes a child domestic worker.
Yes.
But if you find yourself in that situation, please just make sure that the time that you are spending with that family, make it worthwhile.
Yes,
make it difficult for them to
let
forget
you go.
Make it difficult for them to forget you.
Yes.
Make it difficult for them to say go, just pack your load and go. Because if you do what you're supposed to do, I know that there are extremes as well. Some families too, no matter what you do for them, they are ingrates. We see some on social media. And on the other side, some domestic workers too are ingrates. Some of them,
you know where that comes from. For me,
from the way they are treated.
Not
necessarily.
No. Sometimes,
except they came with a mission.
No, sometimes it's mentality. I told somebody that the way a rich man will treat you is not the same way a poor man will treat you.
Word.
You've not seen it. Even in our society, I was asking somebody one day, I said, what makes a child in Lekki different from a child in Amuwodofin? I said, it's the mentality they had. Some of us had, some people are rich, but because they have poor mentality, they can't see things beyond themselves. If you have ever been to maybe an eatery, maybe all these 5-star eatery, and you see, when you see a poor man, you will know. When you see a rich man, you will know. Their comportment. That's the most times when you see those houses, those ones that are extremely maltreated are those ones that work with maybe somebody who is selling food. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't be in a big house and then you are maltreated like a slave. That's what people don't understand. So it's not as if you go, people in Lekki have maids. They are not treated the way a maid in maybe, I don't want to, I'm a word of is okay. Maybe let's look for a remote.
I understand.
Do you understand? That's it. I think it's just mentality of the way people are. If you have a poor mentality, you will treat people poorly. That's it. But if you see yourself, even if you don't have,
I think I'm just saying this.
Even if you don't have so much money, and you have this, sometimes it's not even about education. You are rich in your heart, in your brain. You will treat people well. But when you have this, everybody is a nobody. No matter how good that person is,
you bring out the worst in that person. There's some people, I know that there's some people that have this gift of bringing out the worst in people. No matter.
They will just call you. No matter what you
goodness.
have. No, I was telling somebody one day. I said there are two things I don't like that a lot of people don't understand. One is embarrassment. I take off. No matter who you are, no matter what you have done, I will leave you. I will leave you and go. Sometimes I tell you, I say, the plate you are using to give me food, I will break that plate so that you won't see where to put the food again. Embarrassment. So I try as much as possible not to get to that level that you embarrass me. Because I project myself not for today, but for tomorrow. Because I want to see a better version of me. And that's why I always advise that even as young person, see the best in you first, because it's what you project. The Yoruba will say, dress the way you want to be addressed. It is the way you project yourself to people. That's how they will receive you. Even if they are not receiving you at that high level, they will have a sense of, oh, this person is not
different.
So I deliberately, because what happened was I had to read a lot of books. I read a lot of novels. Anytime
because you are learned now. You went to school. The ones that did not have opportunity to go to school, uncle.
So for those ones too, we can help them. That's the honest truth. If you help them, because I always tell people that if you don't help your housemaid, you will leave your children with them.
Of course.
And is the same measure you have measured to them, they will even measure worse to your children. So sometimes even if you can't pay their school fees and your child is doing homework, put them beside. Let them say, okay, this is 1 + 1, 2 + 2. I remember there was one girl they brought then. The girl doesn't know how to speak English. So if you want to get cup, you call the girl's name. Water, cup, drink, water, cup. And it took us time to teach her English. But when this girl started speaking English, we remember when we were saying water, cup, drink, But we didn't leave her.
Oh my goodness.
so for me, if you are privileged that's why they call help. They are to help you, and you are also supposed to help them. If you know you can't help them, let them go. Because some of them had their own spirits. If you are not careful,
I know.
I don't know how to
Maybe
put it.
You want to go into that one?
Yes.
So thank God for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you
so much, ma.
Opening our eyes to certain areas. I got something now that your mentality also affects the way you treat your
maids, your
help,
even your workers.
Yes, your staff in general. And then again, for those of us who have been through these issues, through this journey in life, it's not the end of the world. No. That's your background. That's your history. It is not the. It is not the
end of road.
Yes, it's not the end of the road for you. And I believe one thing, that sometimes God allows us to pass through some of these experiences because He wants us to use them in future to also help other people. So whatever situation you have found yourself, please don't look down on yourself. Don't lose your self-esteem. Don't lose you. Don't lose you. Understand the fact that it's important that you know that this is a journey. It's not a destination. Sure. I have not reached where I'm going. Yes. And for those of us who have domestic workers, please treat them well. Treat them well. Some of them may not deserve your love, but I know that there is power in love. There's no one you show love to. That person. It's always really difficult for people to resist true, genuine love. Some of these children can be very frustrating, but if you treat them with love, just imagine that they were your own children. There are some things they do. If they were your own children, you're not going to kill them now. So you can't be sending a child like that outside. Some of them, they ask them to go and sleep outside. You are eating something. The entire family is eating something else. And then you're giving your house of something else. So they are human beings. There's no way they will not react. Naturally, their brain will tell them you don't love them. So they will also react by maybe doing stuff in the house. Yes. They are not taking good care of your children or your things and all of that. My prayer for every young one and every teenager around is that God will not allow you be put in that kind of situation in the name of Jesus. Amen. And I'm also praying that you will not lose your parents untimely. Amen. Because these are some of the things that push teenagers into this kind of lifestyle. Some of them don't even want to. Yes. Is that we're going to come to prostitution, maybe another episode we are going to come to that. We have teenagers who are prostitutes, and somehow God has been able to help them and pull them out of that lifestyle. Some of them is because they lost their parents when they were really young, and some of them, one thing led to the other. They had to fend for themselves and all of that. And I'm praying that prayer again. No teenager no child will lose their parents untimely in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
So thank you very much once
Thank
again,
you, ma.
Thank you for
so
coming,
much.
and
Thank
I
you for having
appreciate.
me.
Thank you. I don't know if we have questions online. Looks like I'm seeing some questions online. We'll just take one or two of those online questions. I think I saw a few questions coming up. I saw some questions coming up. Okay, so if we can take these questions now, because I don't want to interrupt this now. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can get any of those questions. I know I saw some questions popping up online. I know that there are people that want to ask you questions. Okay, you can either send those questions online, or you can send me a DM. We can take those questions. Am I seeing questions online? Okay, can I have the questions, please? Just forward it to me. Just forward the question to me so that we can just quickly take it, even if it's one or two. Just quickly forward the question to me. She's still here, so she can take it. Okay, just forward it to me. I'm seeing a few questions. He said, how can parents curb the negative influence of a domestic help on their children? How can parents curb the negative influence of a domestic help on their children?
You know, that one is I will take it from two perspectives. Number one, as a mother, you must first of all know who you are bringing into your house. It's very important.
A lot of people don't do due diligence.
Yes. Apart from
even
if we do due diligence, some of them can be they can pretend.
Yes.
But how do you know? You know, children are now, one of the things that you must first of all train your children. Now, train your children in the sense that you allow your children to be open to you. I always tell parents, when your child comes to you, no matter how long the conversation is, please listen and hear them. To the glory of God, I have 2 children. My son is just tell you, but my daughter, if they go out, I don't ask them what happens there. But from the door, everything,
they will tell you.
And as they are telling me, I'm gisting the gist with them. I'm taking the one that I need.
Yes.
I'm taking the one that I don't need. The one that I needed to correct immediately, I am putting it at the back of my mind that when this cover, I will allow her to say everything. Now, if you allow your child to be somebody who is free to you, and then when they tell you something, even when the thing is scary, you didn't show emotion, that scary emotion. Hey, why did it? No. You know, as they just absorb it as if nothing has happened. And then if it's something that is very bad, you now begin to ask questions. How did it happen? Where did you get here? Oh, this is, and then if it involves a third party, you now know how to deal with that matter behind. Now, for you to know how to treat your house help and then filter the bad one, their influence on your children is, number one, you must also know who your child is. You must know your children.
But the truth is that a lot of parents don't even know their children.
That's the problem.
This is another conversation for another
because
day.
We don't know
a lot
them.
Of parents don't know their children, so
yes.
When the children are going through stuff,
they won't know.
They can't. Not even they won't know. The children themselves.
Something happened to me.
They don't have this confidence. They don't feel they have the access.
No, is
to
every
go and
child
meet their children.
Is their mother.
No, their mother. Sorry.
No matter how you are close to them, sometimes they are restrained. You understand? Something happened a few weeks ago. I wanted my daughter to go to the same school with my son. So when the first list came out, her name didn't come out. Unlike my son, immediately the first list came out, his name came out. So So I said time is going, and I didn't want to wait because it's from primary to secondary. So when I looked at it, so I went to another school. I got the form. So because I didn't want to separate them and I didn't want to be doing the 2 school runs, so I asked both of them to write the exam. So God so kind, they passed and they gave them the admission. But not knowing that when I took my daughter to the school, I even asked her, do you like this place? She said yes. Not knowing that she didn't like the place. But I didn't know. But she was feeling that, if I tell my mommy now, I don't know how she will feel. And she has tried to explain to me, because I always explain things to them, even as little as they are. So I said, this is why I want you to go to this school. Because initially she said, because the brother is always threatening her that when you get there, I'm your senior, I'll do this, I'll do that. So, but all of a sudden she started falling ill. When she realized, I said, the first list had come out, your name didn't come out, and I didn't want to start running eta-sketa. Let's find alternative. She fought. We gave her drug. We took her to the hospital, and people were like, oh, maybe because I was ill too, because she was sleeping beside me while I was in the hospital. That was why it happened. I was like, I know my daughter very well. For this drug not to have worked, something is happening. We are out of Lagos. So when we came back, and I said, see, this is what we have. But so God so kind, we were to come back on a Wednesday. They called me from the school on Tuesday. The another list came out, and her name is on the list. So that but we should pay acceptance fee immediately the following day. And I was out of Lagos, and I needed to discuss with my husband that there is change of plan. No, this other school, they've given her admission and all that. But to cut the long story short, immediately I paid the admission acceptance fee. She was beside me when I did, and she said, God, I'm grateful. God, I'm grateful. And the body temperature disappeared. So I said,
that was an emotional sickness.
So, and this is a child of
goodness
10 years, less than 10 years old. So I called her. I said, what happened? He said, Mommy, it's just that I don't know how to tell you. I don't like that school. I said, well, I said, because their class is up. So I was afraid of the heights. Now, if you ask me, I'll tell you that I know my child very well. But thank God. So
I
that
think
day,
she was trying to be considerate.
Yes, because she was trying to be considerate, she didn't want to say it. Now, one of the things I always tell parents is that when you know your child, when you are open to your child, no matter how bad house help is to them, they will come and tell you. They even see them before you see them. Yes. They will tell you that, Mommy, Ekaita is taking something. Don't shut them down.
Yes.
Don't rebuke Ekaita even in their front.
I have a daughter. When she was much younger, she used to tell us that we used to call her Angel. She would tell you that I have the spirit to catch every devil, every demon that enters the house. And sincerely, somehow I had to start paying attention to that, because most times when people come into the house and those people repel her, just watch that person closely. You will find
even from your child, you will see the sign. But because sometimes we are too busy. Now, I always tell parents, I say, please, no matter your work, the moment you get to your gate, drop that work.
Yeah, you
and wear another garment of a mother, so that when anything is happening in your house,
you will know. You will get to know.
You will get to know, because their countenance will show.
He said, is it advisable to have matured or older females as domestic help? I think for this one, I would just say that it actually depends on the stage you are in your marriage.
Yes.
Because for me personally, I can't take a child.
Because your children are grown.
I can't even, apart from that, with what I do, I can't take a child. One, again, if you're a newlywed, you don't expect to be having a house help
that is above 20 years old.
No, not even that. That is your mate. It's not going to work, because you can't control that house help. So that's why I said it depends on the stage that you are in your marriage. You know, the younger days, when you are a lot younger, and my own is just that if you need to take a younger person, ensure that you train that person. Don't just you see, some of these children also, make them happy. Send them to school if possible, as much as possible. Send them to school. And
because when you are not at home, they are not doing anything.
Exactly. You've got to work now. Once you get doing at home,
what would they be doing?
Send them to school or let them do something,
so that
at least you would have sown something back or given something back into their lives. So this is all we can take for today. Maybe there is going to be a part 2 of this. I don't know. Hopefully, I think we should have a part 2. I would like to hear I'd like to bring someone that had a very nasty experience working as a domestic child staff. You had let me, as far as I'm concerned, you had a good experience, because for some other people their experiences are nothing close to what you have said. So thank you once again. Thank you for coming, and I really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your life stories with us. These are real stories, real issues that some people may not even want to talk about. So thank you for opening up to us, and thank you for allowing people also learn from your own experience. Your experience has been an eye-opener for us, and I'm sure to anyone out there that is a child domestic worker, I'm sure that her experience would have taught you something that you, as you lay your bed, that's how you're going to lie on it. So thank you for coming, and I really, really appreciate you. So till we come our way again with another episode of this podcast, thank you all for joining live. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time, and my prayer for us again is that our past will not determine our future. Amen. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Irrespective of where we're coming from, God is going to take us higher, move us to higher grounds in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.